Hey guys, good morning. It's Monday morning, man. I'm drinking my coffee and I have got some cool stuff to say, and that's pretty much that I'm working on a fucking long ass PvE guide. It's like an hour and a half long, kind of like the one that's already on my channel, but updated because that's a little outdated. And it's taken a while to do. That's not a quick little turn the camera on and talk for 9 minutes. That's like a fucking slash played goddamn 72-hour, video time. So that'll be out. Hopefully, I'll do this video and I'll do the demo one, then I'll do that PvE video. But yeah, so good morning, guys. Today we're gonna go over the Affliction one. It's not drastically different from anything else. Starting out, I want to say that you shouldn't be UA at this point. I feel like everybody should be SM Ruin at this point. There are some fights where I feel like 5 Fathom Lord, and down the road there'll be some fights that I feel like you can get some parses. Your Affliction parts can come from UAs, but I don't think it's really necessary. I think you guys should just be SM Ruin. And also right now I'd like to mention that some of these logs are showing people using SMDS. So I haven't investigated that. I will be looking into that, and I'll be playing Affliction next week as well. Over on my channel on Twitch, which is Crix Gaming _ if you want to see it. All right. Anyway, so just like the other specs, the first thing I want to talk about is these trinkets, right? So the trinkets, this is the highest simming. Well, I mean, this and Icon are the same thing, right? They're literally the same thing, except for the green smoke emits from the pipe. So I guess that's a little bit cooler. So what I would say is sim DPS, it's sims higher to use the quacks, even with no matter what. So when I run UA, if you were, I'm gonna mention UA, even though I'm gonna hope that you're not running UA, right? So if you're running UA. Some people do run UA though, and it's not a bad thing if you are. I'm not shit talking to you if you're running UA. UA is a fun spec. It is a good spec. It does lose out to SM Ruin, but a lot of people like that extra dot and they like that game pod. And you're there to bring a dot. You're there to bring a curse and some shadow embrace. So as long as you bring that, you're kind of okay to pump, man. So if you're running UA, I'd run quacks and pipe. I have been turned on to the double on use of the quacks and the icon, even though it's a losing sim. The issue is there's been many times, especially as Affliction. Think about this. There's many times as Affliction that you would put a dot up on, your agony, you're elementing something and it procs it, or so many things can proc your quacks when you're not ready for it. Quacks is a very good trinket. It's just very good if you can use the value from it. Like if you can use that, every ICD you get it is very good. But the problem that I've noticed lately, and I kind of didn't notice till it was brought to my attention, is I went to my logs and I noticed 2 or 3 different procs where I'm not getting any value out of that because it would proc off something stupid, So for that reason, I'm running double. That doesn't mean you need to run double. Let's get on to it. Engineering helmet or T5 helmet, the only 2 options you have for a helmet that are BiS. If you cannot get engineering helmet and if you cannot get T5 helmet, then you're still using T4 helmet. Then you would run T4 head and shoulders, and you can mix the gloves and something else with something else. But try to get engineering gloves if you're not engineering for many. Engineering helmet is not in itself worth to go get engineering. But if you're mixing it with the bombs and all the grenades and whatever else, it kind of makes it worth, in my opinion. Plus, it's a prio in a lot of guilds anyway. So if you're engineering, pick up these. If you're not, you want to hold out for T5, which is going to be argued with the mages and hunters. So it might be a while till you get it. As for the 4-piece or the 2-piece, don't worry about your 4-piece T4 anymore. Continue to wear your 2-piece though. I'm using shoulders and gloves. What I would suggest using until you get vestments is you can use shoulders and then chest, T4 chest, right? Boom. And then you can run sorry, guys, I'm sick and I'm sniffling a lot. And then you can run hand wraps with throwing wrap, soul eaters, or ASG or something if you can get them in the gloves. Those are very good options for gloves until you get vestments. And then when you get vestments, you wear vestments, right? I'm not gonna put the gyms in. You guys are smart enough to gym yourself. So next up, it's gonna be the cloak. With the cloak, it's gonna be Ruby, Drape, Mysticant, or Brute, or Royal Cocoa Sunstriders. If you're UA, I'd 100,000% run Royal Cocoa Sunstriders. I would never use this as Affliction, mainly because I don't want that hit as Affliction. You still want hit as Affliction because Shadow Bolt is for the primary your damage. Shadow Bolt is still 70-80% of your damage on a boss, right? So you still want to be critting. But you know what I don't care about? As Affliction, hitting that much. I'm going to hit regardless. It's not that big of a deal. I don't like running this cloak, so I would suggest either running Brute or Royal. Royal's good, has no crit on it. That's why I don't like it personally, but it's really good for UA. It's good for us. It's good for SM. It's a good cloak all the way around. But I would just go with one of these 2 cloaks. If you're UA, run Royal Cloak. If you're SM, run Brute Cloak. I've not looked in the SMDS spec, like I said, but if you are running SMDS spec, I'd probably run the cloak because no crit on it as well. As for chest, nothing much to say here. Vestments. As for bracers, not much to say here either. You have the Alar bracers, and before that, you have the Season 2 bracers, which are right here. Oh, no. Silk right there, buddy. So it's one of these 2 gloves. Get one. If you should already have Season 2 gloves, it's only a couple spell pays, 2 spell power and 2 crit rating more than the Season 1 gloves, but it's still an upgrade. Get them until you get Mindstorm. As a weapon, Fang or Merciless Gladiator. I'm going for Merciless Gladiator. That's simply because I'm already PvPing. I PvP quite a bit, so I'm going to have it anyway. If you have the option to get this, I would suggest that you get that. Town is also good, by the way, if you still have town. But, 90% of us don't. When it comes in between Fang and, I suggest everybody get Glad if you can. Obviously, it's not as easy as going, I want to clap at 1850. Well, it kind of is good, easy 850 in fives. Like, I don't know if you guys have tried it, but it's pretty easy to do it in fives, right? But if that's not the issue, then go ahead and get Fang. But just know that Fang should be prop pile. Just know that Fang should be prop pile first, and then who's gonna get it next? You never know when you're gonna get it, right? Versus Merciless Gladiator being in your hand to get whenever you decide to buckle down in PvP, right? So obviously that's not for everybody, but if you have the time, if you're home, if you're fucking no lifing, if you don't have a job, whatever the issue is, go fucking farm that weapon up and leave some more Fangs for the rest of the group. As for which is better, I think that Merciless Gladiator is better. Granted, it's 4 more spell power. The thing is, are you gonna use that 15 hit? Like, you guys know, right? I'm already over hit cap. Like, we're already over hit cap, right? Like, in our gear, so it's kind of rough. But yeah, that's up to you guys. Fathom Stone's the only offhand you really can use. If you're using UA, you can run Orb Soldier still, but I'd still suggest, I would run Orb Soldier. Gloves running with the 2-piece. Before that, we already talked about gloves. Belt up blasting is the belt that you're going to use. There's nothing really else to even talk about. You came from Girdle Ruination. You're moving up to belt up blasting. If Cortisort Screaming Terrors drops, that's a good belt as well. It's not as good as belt up blasting because, as you can see, it's missing the 30 crit. Which is a big deal. I mean, it's not the end of the world, but it's, big deal for me. But what I would say is get cord if you can. If you want to use cord, like if it's just like, hey guys, we're rolling this off because nobody wants it because everybody wants belt of blasting, you can use cord in the meantime. That's fine. As for the pants, it's either Spell Strike pants or T5 pants. I would go T5 pants for the stamina. That's completely up to you guys. I don't care. I'm not going to argue which pants are better. Okay, the last 2 rings. I used to do crit rings. Now, what I would say about these rings is use crit ring. I like to use crit rings and hit everywhere else. This is to ensure that I use Veiled Noble Topaz. I would rather use 2 hit rings. Not hit ring. I'd rather use a hit ring if I could, or hit somewhere. We have hit, or we don't have a choice to have hit on a lot of these things like this. Boots of blasting if you're using them. You have hit on everything that we don't really need it, so you're gonna be overhit anyway, right? For that reason, you run some crit rings. Bring in Endless Coils from Lady Vash. This is a Mount Hydro attunement quest ring. You get this from turning in the Mount Hydro quest attunement. And it upgrades from here, and then upgrades to here, and then here, and then here, right? With the proc, and it's pretty badass with the proc. So, I'm going to go in there Mount Hydro with this on prog. I'm going to walk out 2 waves later or whatever and upgrade it. Trinkets we talked about, and the wand is the only one we get. Boots, we forgot, is Boots of Shifty Nightmare I prefer over Boots of Blasting. This is because Boots of Blasting has hit the crit on it. And I'm going to take it. So right now it's between 20 spell power, 25 crit. As Affliction, I'm going to take 25 or 20 spell power 9 times out of 10. So that's why I wore that. Yeah, guys, that's it. Let me see here. Yeah, I think that's about it, my brothers. Hope that helped, my Affliction boys. Check out the Twitch one more time, please. I'll be doing some Affliction next week. Then I'm doing demo. I'm hitting all the specs. I'll see you in a couple days for the demo guide. Right? Peace.